in all honesty, if you were going to diss the British, they wouldn't mind it at all. They, one of the I guess key attributes of the British is they love poking fun at each other. Honestly, like one of the very, very sarcastic people, and like I felt like one of the ways they show affection is by little like biting sarcastic comments, which was kind of a bit different for me when I first got out there. One of the biggest differences between Americans and British as it comes to sarcasm, I feel like in America, sarcasm can be used, and it is used often, but there's this connotation that it's kind of like a mean and kind of like underhanded thing to do, and like you kind of look down on people that are sarcastic really often. For the British, there's none of that. Absolutely none. They don't consider sarcasm to be a mean thing. They consider sarcasm to be the way that you say absolutely everything while you're there. And so it took me a little bit before I got used to just the sheer amount of sarcasm that's in everyday conversation. But if you can joke around with them, you'll have a lot of fun. And I spent a lot of time laughing with those people because they are very funny in the way they talk and the way they act. Although it's much more of a dry humor, it's hilarious and I love it a lot. I think one of the most apparent differences between Americans and British, and it's kind of cliche, but it is in a way true, is Americans are generally more immediately open with people, in that, at least, especially being someone who was raised in Utah, I was used to everyone being kind of on the surface friendly. The British, probably one of the best descriptions I've heard of them is that they have small, thin and fragile shells. As that it was very rare to meet a Brit who was super friendly and open from the get-go. But as soon as you crack through that shell, which you usually could just by joking around with them or being a friendly person, they would open up to you, and they are some of the nicest and kindest and just polite people after you do that. Of course, they're more likely to be rude to people they don't know at all, but if you kind of mouth it right back, in some cases you have to read the circumstance, they'll laugh along with you and jump on. And so it was hard when I first got there because I was just like, why is everyone so distant? But they're really not. They're just a small shell. You got to break through, and you can make some of your best friends with the Brits after you do that. The British saints are some of the most inspiring and dedicated people I've met. They live in a very different world than the one I grew up in as far as antagonism against the church or against religion or against morals in general. But the people were so incredibly strong. And because they face a lot of opposition in living their religion, I became very impressed, and I took a lot back from just how strong and loving and how dedicated these people were. Well, many of them, it took them sometimes years to make the decision to join the church. Those individuals, once they make that choice, they're in it. They stay. They are those that are never to be lost after they make that decision. And so they're stubborn. And so once they decide to follow Jesus Christ and commit themselves to the church and to his gospel, they stubbornly keep it. And something that I try and emulate in my life since I've been home.